Haribo.
Haribo,
Turn
Haribo.
Haribo. Okay,
Radster, we're live.
we're live. Okay.
Okay.
So, Kirtania.
Today is the disappearance day of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, right?
Actually, in some places, we're saying it's not.
Okay.
Anyway, there's three different possibilities, but you can certainly sing for Narottam.
Okay, so Hari Hari Bifale Janamagain.
Beautiful.
Hari Hari Bifale Janamagain. Hari Hari Vipale Janamagai Manasa Janamahapaya Radha Krishna Navajiya Manasya Janamahapaya Radha Krishna Navajiya Janiya Suniya Visha Kainu Janiya Suniya Visha Kainu Hari Hari Vipale Janamagai Hari Hari Vipale Janamagai Golokera Premadhana Hari Nama Sankirtana Golokera Premadhana Hari Nama Sankirtana Ratina Janmila Keneta Ratina Janmila Keneta Samsara Vishanade Divanishti Yahajvale Samsara Vishanale Divanishti Yahajvale Yuraite na koinu pai Juraite na koinu pai Hari Hari Vipale Janamagai Hari Hari Vipale Janamagai Rajendra Nandana Jai Sachi Sutta Hoila Hose Rajendra Nandana Jai सची सुता होइल से बलराम होइल नीता बलराम होइल नीता बिना हिना जाता चिना हरिना उधारिलो बिना जीना जाता चिलो हरिना उधारिलो तार साक्षी जगाए माधान तार साक्षी जगाए माधान हरि हरि विफले जनमागम हरि हरि विफले जनमागम प्रभु नंदासुता वृषभानुसुता जुता प्रभु नंदासुता वृषभानुसुता जुता करुणा करो एहि बार करुणा करो एहि बार नरोत्तम दासा कय नाथेली रंगा पार नरोत्तम दासा कय नाथेली रंगा पार तोमा बिना के আছে আমারা তোমরা বিনা কে আছে আমার হরি হরি বিফলে জনমাগম हरि हरि विफले जनमागम जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय राधे जय श्री कृष्ण जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय राधे जय श्री कृष्ण जय सच्चिदानंद जय गौरा हरि सच्चिदानंद जय गौरा हरि जय सच्चिदानंद जय गौरा हरि सच्चिदानंद जय गौरा हरि जय नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम जय वृंदावन धाम जय गिरि गोवर्धन वृंदावन धाम जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय वृंदावन धाम जय गिरि गोवर्धन वृंदावन धाम जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय हरि नाम जय हरि नाम हरि नाम जय हरि नाम जय हरि नाम जय हरि नाम Hari Nama, Jaya Hari Nama. Thakur Narottama, Thakur Narottama, Thakur Narottama, Thakur Narottama, Thakur Narottama, Thakur Narottama, Narottama, Thakur Narottama. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Guru Parampara, 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 Guru Parampara. Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Beautiful, beautiful, Radhika. Beautiful. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Gan Havika Girir Hari. Radha Binod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astau Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astau Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Vamana Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astau Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astau Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astau Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Mahabhagavat Shila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudiya Acharya Ki Jai. Jai Rasik Shila Vishnath Chakrabarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamanand Prabhu Treya Ki Jai. Jai Shila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shibata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Padasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sika Holsi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautarandvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritudvip Janadvip Motandvip Rudadvip Apnaganavadvip Dham Ki Jai. Baduravan, Bandiravan, Baelvan, Lohavan, Mahavan, Madhuvan, Talvan, Kamudvan, Bahulavan, Vrindavan, Kadyavan, Kamyavan, Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shri Shamakund Radha Kund Giti Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Shri Govardhana Ki Jai. Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jai Purnamasi Devi Yogamaya Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Ganga Jamuna Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Jai Gopishwa Mahadev Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai. Ketra Mandal Ki Jai. Sarva Vigna Vanasa Kadashina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Chari Dham Ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai. Chari Acharya Ki Jai. Akara Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Keshav Ji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Wonderful.
Rupias Cha. Kripa Sindhaveva Cha. Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you also to Radhika Didi. She always sings so beautifully. It always makes my heart melt. And thank you to Janani Maharaj for also doing Jai Dwani. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियतमने श्रीमच्छ्रीलभक्तिवेदान्त नारायणीति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय राधा गोविन्द प्रियतमने श्रीमच्छ्रीलभक्तिवेदान्त भक्ति जीवनाचार्येति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमच्छ्रीलभक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Dear devotees, we're on day 5 of our wonderful virtual parikrama. We're really fortunate that we're able to even go on this parikrama virtually. We've been given so much by Srila Gurudev. Today we are going to Baelvana, which is directly, if you come out of Gopinath Bhavan, get on a boat. I'm doing what Chidandi Maharaj does. Get on a boat, cross the river, cross the Yamunaji, and then walk for about 30 minutes. I think it is, Maharaj. Can't remember. It might be a little bit longer. And then you reach the temple of Lakshmi Devi, where we offer our prayers to Chidandi Maharaj, Sripad Chidandi Maharaj, and perhaps
Shuddadvaiti Maharaj.
Zaita Maharaj also will be speaking on Baelvana. This is going to be a much shorter program than what we normally have for 2 hours because of just one location. So without further ado, without any hesitation, I will let Shripad Bhaktivedanta Chidandi Maharaj start, and hopefully Suddhaiti Maharaj will follow. Hari Bol, Dandavat Pranams Maharaj.
Dandavat, Pranams, Hari Bol. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmaya Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhrishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat Pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again, millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all our divine Rupanuga Guru Varga, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat Pranams to all of you. Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhavevacha Patitanam Pavnivyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. So yes, Yashoda has described our route. We're just going to come out of our temple in Gopinath Bhavan and cross over the river. We'll take a boat, etc. And it's about more than a mile to the village of Baelvana, which is in the forest of Baelvana. So we know on the other side of the river, there's 5 forests, 5 principal forests. We have Bhadravan, Bandiravan, and Baelvana. And then we have Lohavan and Mahavan. So we have these 5 principal forests on the other. And most of the pastimes are with Baladev taking prominence on this side of the river. Dauji Bai is over there, the township of Mutt, and Baladev is there. Daubai is there. So it's a very, very beautiful walk. It's about a mile walking through the landscape of Vrindavan. But we remember that the Jamuna, she floods sometimes up to 1.5, almost 2 kilometers every year. So we're going in fresh ground, so to speak, very clean sand, etc. And we get across to this village of Baelvana, and it feels remote. It feels far away because there's no main road from the other side, from the Vrindavan side, entering there. You can only get across through Gokul and Mahavan, through the forest there. So it's a very rustic, small village, loads of kids, lots of cows and buffaloes and tractors. And we come through the village and we come to the temple of Lakshmi Dev. And then we begin to hear about the pastimes here. So this is where we've arrived today. 5,000 years ago, this was a Bael forest full of Bael fruits. And Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys would enjoy their pastimes there in that forest. And then one time, Lakshmi Dev, Narad, is speaking with Lakshmi Dev, and he's telling her about the beauty of the Ras Leela. Lakshmi Devi, she becomes thoroughly inspired to want to join the Ras Leela. And she attempts to join, but the gopis, they tell her this is absolutely not possible until you perform austerities to get the mercy from Brajendranandan, Shyam Sundar, and Purnamasi, etc. So in this place, Lakshmi Dev, she's meditating and endeavoring to enter the pastimes of Madhurya, but she by nature is in a mood of Aishwarya. That's her nature. So my Gurudev has described that unless one knows deeply the distinction between Madhurya Dham and Aishwarya Dham, one is still, in fact, on the Kanishta platform. We come to the Madhyam platform when we start to understand this distinction, such a distinction. It's described like in the mood of Vrindavan. We've said many times, Krishna, he doesn't know he's God. Absolutely, he doesn't know he's God. And the residents don't acknowledge him as being God. Krishna is Sarvagya. He knows everything, and he's Mugdata at the same time, simultaneously. So he doesn't have that mood of being the supreme controller. Therefore, his familial relationships in Madhurya Prem, in Madhurya mood, Braja Prem, is very, very special and very sweet. It's described, for example, that when Uddhav, he visits Vrindavan, Krishna gives him a spurti of what Vrindavan is like when he's there. Krishna is in Mathura. But when Uddhav comes, he gets a spurti of what Vrindavan's like. He sees the gopis are churning, singing beautiful songs. The cows are in the fields, rutting, etc. The cowherd boys are getting the buckets of milk, and there's whole music in the air, an atmosphere, and the birds are all singing, etc. There's a wonderful, wonderful festive atmosphere. And then suddenly Krishna steps out of a doorway. And Uddhav, immediately he offers obeisances. And then immediately the whole scene changes to this desperate separation mood that is all pervading in Vrindavan at that time, because Krishna is not actually present. So there's no obeisances being offered. There's no mood of that Aishwarya, that awe and reverence. So this is a very sacred state of consciousness, to be able to be with that Supreme Lord, and everything is in what's described as Nara Leela, human-like pastimes. So Lakshmi Devi, how can she enter this world? Actually, Purnamasi, she approaches Purnamasi, and Purnamasi says to her, well, can you make cow dung patties? And she says, oh no, I've never done that before. And she says, can you marry someone other than Lord Narayan? Can you demonstrate this parakya bhav? And she cannot slightly break her dharmic mood of being the maidservant of Lord Narayan. She can't break that. She doesn't have the capacity to break that. So she's still performing austerities with the hope of entering into the Ras Leela, but she doesn't have the ability to actually give up her abhiman of being a Brahmani. The cowherd girls, they're like Vaishya women, and they're like village women, forest women even, we can say. But Lakshmi Devi, she can't come to that mood. So it's very, very essential for us to understand this transition between Aishwarya and Madhurya. Most of the spiritual world is with the atmosphere of Aishwarya. Dwarka and Vaikuntha, these are all Aishwarya dhams. Ayodhya, Mathura, these are all very prominent Aishwarya dhams. But the relationship with Krishna is so exceptional in Vrindavan without this Aishwarya. So this is what the Vaishnavas want to fully appreciate. What is this speciality of Braja Prem? They're not seeing Krishna as that supreme Lord. Whereas in Dwarka or Mathura or Ayodhya, they all see that supreme Lord. They just see him as the greatest person or as Paramatma feature. They see him in this way. So this is the mood of the Aishwarya Bhav. And this is the mood of Lakshmi Devi. And she doesn't have the capacity to actually break that. Of course, we say that by mercy, that can be broken, but her essential Sthai is not sufficient to actually come across. The same with Uddhav. Even though Uddhav, he lives with the gopis, he stays in the forest with the gopis, it's described, for several months. He's living in Braj. And he cannot change his Sthai. He's a Jnani Bhakta. A Jnani Bhakta in the sense of he's seeing Krishna as that supreme personality of Godhead. So he's being brought up with that mood, and he can't change that mood. We see in the world, mostly people who come to any sort of platform of personal religion, they can't come across to consider that the Lord can be their very personal friend without this mood of awe and reverence. This is a very big step to come across. We'll remember when Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada first came to the West, he used this Aishwarya Bhav tremendously to make an impression on all the devotees. The devotees at the airports, they would describe in different occasions how Prabhupada would come out like 100 blazing suns. That's what they all experienced. They all saw Prabhupada like that, like as a sun rising out of the airport. And so that Aishwarya mood was very simple for them to appreciate. This is a great, 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 great personality in Srila Prabhupada. So then Prabhupada could work miracles in their hearts to bring them slowly, slowly, slowly to the conception, actually, in Vrindavan, Krishna doesn't have that same mood. He doesn't hold that same Aishwarya Bhav. So because the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his mercy and the mercy of the holy name of the Lord, that's giving the devotee the support to actually come into this realm of Madhurya. And it can't be imaginary or fictitious in any way. It has to be when the heart is fully purified by sweet sentiments of service to the Lord. This is the only way this can be actually understood and appreciated. We can't pretend that Krishna is my friend or my lover if we're feeling still this Aishwarya within our hearts. So this Aishwarya gradually has to be purified from our consciousnesses if we want to connect fully with the Brajaramanis, with the Brijabasi mood and flavor. And this takes time, perhaps lifetimes, to actually come to that place where we're appreciating the Lord for his sweetness. And when we hear about the descriptions of the cowherd boys, for example, there's a quote from Srila Jiva Goswami, and he's describing that the nature of the cowherds is able to experience the abundant sweetness of Krishna. Hence, they are accepted as the greatest scholars and wise men, because they have such dispositions. The greatest love, which is the crown jewel of all kinds of love, naturally arises in them. This is a small window into the consciousness of those in Madhurya Prem. Their love will not be adulterated by any other awareness that may come in between. Rather, their natures will defeat any incoming alternative feeling. And this is referring to, for example, if the cowherd boys, their witness to Krishna, defeat this Bakasura demon, their witness to Krishna defeating the Agasura demon. They've seen this, but that doesn't influence their affection and feeling towards Krishna. From their childhood, they've been aware of the tremendous love that Krishna has for them, the overwhelming love that Krishna has for them. They tell their mothers when they've been dressed as small children, small boys in Balya Lila, quickly dress me. Krishna is anxious to see me. Krishna is waiting in the courtyard with all the calves, and he wants to see me. They have that feeling of that connection with Krishna's love for them, and they are reciprocating fully with that love on a very human-like level. Just they've given their everything to Krishna. And whether any heroic act is performed by Krishna, that doesn't suddenly put Krishna into the hero mood where I'm going to hero worship him. It doesn't put him into that category. They still maintain that sweetness in their relationship. You understand? It's not something that's going to break. So this is the nature of the real sweetness of Braj. It can't be fractured in any way. We even see the Brijbasis we described the other day, the pastime of Kaliya. This massive serpent with 1,000 hoods was defeated by Krishna dancing. I mean, what a splendid display of prowess and heroism that he performed. And yet, when the pastime is over, Krishna is still their lover. He's still their greatest friend and lover, etc. He's their relative, he's their son, he's their brother, and so on. So this mood is so fixed, this Madhurya bhav is so fixed within their hearts, it can't be influenced by any sort of Aishwarya input. It's like when we hear when Uddhav again, he visits in the 46th chapter to Vrindavan, and he's speaking with Nanda Baba. And Nanda Baba speaks many beautiful verses about about Krishna and Balaram. And in one of those verses, he's referring to Krishna and Balaram as perhaps being demigods or perhaps being greatly empowered personalities. He speaks about altogether 11 verses there. And one of them is referencing Krishna and Balaram as being like demigods. He doesn't say demigods, he says like demigods. And Uddhav, he picks up on just that one expression. And then he says, you know, actually, Krishna and Balaram are not your children. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nanda Baba, he can't even begin to relate to that. He can't even relate to that consciousness. And we have the same with Queen Kunti, when she's hearing in the first canto, in the 8th chapter, that Mother Yashoda has bound Krishna. Queen Kunti her mind can't reach that place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be bound by Mother Yashoda. This is beyond her comprehension. So see this huge distinction that is there between the Aishwarya bhav, which Lakshmi Devi is holding, and the Madhurya bhav, which the Brijbasis have. It's enormous. It's enormous. So we are hearing so many pastimes about Madhurya, but this is such, are we appreciating when we're hearing those pastimes, the tremendous depth of that Madhurya. It's described, for example, I've given this example many times, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives, if you take a glass of water and you add some salt, the salt is equivalent to Aishwarya Dham, Aishwarya Bhav. And you mix the salt with that glass of water, it's very salty. So this is like the condition in Vaikuntha or even in Dwarka. You're mixing a small amount of Aishwarya with a small amount of water. But in Braj, you're mixing like 20 kilos of salt into the Ganga. How much influence does 20 kilos of salt have in the Ganga? There's no influence at all. So the actual Aishwarya underneath in Braj is so much greater than the Aishwarya outside of Braj, but it's covered with such an immensity of sweetness. That Aishwarya means that there's never a single drop of even slight disrespect for that. But even when Mother Yashoda is binding him, there's never any transgression in the speciality of their relationship. I'll give you an example. It's like with my Gurudev. Many times we'd be sitting in his room just late in the evening, perhaps 9:30, 10 o'clock, and he'd be discussing some publications or something like that. 4 or 5 of us would be there. And he'd put himself in a very familiar mood, just like chatting. And then I can remember personally saying something that just was too familiar and just went across the line. And I knew it instantly. It was like Gurudev extended himself to be my friend. And then I took advantage of that because I didn't have the adhikar to support a pure relationship. Do you understand? You know, because of my background, etc. It wasn't sufficient to support. I saw many times when a Brijbasi would come in the mat and just, there'd be a huge crowd of people around Gurudev and he'd just start massaging Gurudev's feet in a very beautiful way, smiling, sometimes just humming, singing, and Gurudev would allow that to happen. And once a Westerner tried to do the same thing and Gurudev just kicked him away. I mean, there's a huge distinction between someone who has genuine affection and someone who is endeavoring to inspire that affection within his own heart. There's a big distinction there. So this principally is our journey. This is our path. How are we going to make that quantum leap across into that? We are not going to do that. We're just going to be benedicted with kripa, with mercy from our Guru Varga, from Gurudev, from the Vaishnavas, that our hearts will melt in genuine attraction to Krishna. But this is the ultimate, this is what is Braja Prem, what is Gopi Bhav. This is not, yes, what is Gopi Bhav, but this is our sadhya. If we're focusing on this, if this is our intention, then slowly, through either a long time or a short time, depending on our Sukriti and Sanskar, we can cover that ground. So Lakshmi Devi, she's sitting there, and it's described that she's still sitting there today. She is determined. She has the determination, but she doesn't have the adhikar to actually drop that conception of being a Brahmani and of the wife, the maidservant of Lord Narayan, a brahmacharini. She doesn't have that mood. She can't break it. So this is what we hear, these pastimes in Baelvana. Also, we see when Nanda Baba, after the lifting of Govardhan Hill, what could be a more mighty act than lifting Govardhan Hill, even almost mightier than dancing on the heads of Kaliya. And then when Krishna finally sets Govardhan Hill out, all the cowherd men, they come up, the Gopas, they come up to Nanda Baba and they say, "We think your son is actually God. Gargamuni, he said that your son is like God." But now they're thinking he is God. He's just held up a mountain for 7 days. I mean, this is like inconceivable. But none of the Brijbasis, while he was holding that mountain, really, really deeply thought he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It was only when he actually put it down. Yes, they had their sticks holding it up. Radharani was telling Govardhan, if you drop 1 millimeter, I'll incinerate you to ashes. So, and Nanda Baba was thinking that it was a result of his worship of the Shalagram Shila that was actually keeping Govardhan up. And others thought that perhaps Govardhan had developed wings that Indra had cut off previously. But none of them at the time considered that he was that supreme. But when they came out, when Krishna had said it, then they had some time to reflect. They all went to Nanda Baba, and we do a drama of this. Every year in Nandagam, we do this drama at the Nanda Baitak. We do this drama and come in front of Nanda Baba and tell him, we think your son is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We don't think you should shout at your son or pull his ears. You certainly shouldn't try and tie him up any more to grinding mortars or anything like that. You shouldn't restrict his movements like that. And Nanda Baba, he begins to laugh and laugh and laugh. He says, you cowherd men, you don't lose your milk teeth until you're 80 years old. In other words, you're still young-minded people in an old body. You haven't understood. My son, he steals. He lies. He cheats. He cries when he doesn't get what he wants. He does all kinds of naughty things. This isn't the act of a god. And if he wanted to, he doesn't know that Krishna actually consorts with other men's wives in the night. If he understood that as well, he would write it out completely. How can this possibly be the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So you see the contradictions between Krishna's moods and in order to get the sweetest reciprocation, when Krishna's not having this mood of self-importance, a sadhak can understand on his journey to transcendence that the more important and respectable he is in the material world, the much more difficult it is for him to actually develop his personal relationship with that Supreme Lord. If he's thinking he's a very important person in this world, then that's the biggest disqualification actually in Raganuga Bhakti to making a connection with Radha and Krishna. So this has to be purified by the sadhak. And it's remarkable, we see the symptoms in the material world. Everyone is trying to make their claim to self-importance, isn't it? Everyone is trying to shore up their reputation in their own minds, and in the minds, they want it to influence the minds of other people. We have this Facebook. What's this Facebook all about? The royal blue thumbs. You get the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Everything is being judged like that. Am I important or am I insignificant? But to reach that place of even thinking about Madhurya, we have to feel utterly unimportant. We have to feel utterly insignificant, even though at the same time, we have the potency of that Supreme Lord within us. We are Vibhinamsa. So it's like a contradiction. You understand? It's like an imbalance. We are Tatashta, so we're flopping from one side to the other. One side will think that we're a great person, the next will be thinking that I'm completely trash. When I say insignificant, it doesn't mean low self-esteem. It means I'm understanding my true nature in the light of all the billion and trillion and zillion other jivas in this world. I'm an insignificant spark, but I'm Bibhinamsa. That means I'm a separated part of the Lord. And in that way, I'm connected to the Lord. I am connected to the Lord. And in what type of relationship I'm connected to the Lord, that will be determined by my Sukriti and Sanskar from my previous births. That will certainly influence. We have our inherent seed of our staiva. At the same time, it's going to be there's going to be some influence by our association in how we actually utilize that seed. That has to be there. There has to be some determination by the influence of our association. Of course, if we are by nature in that Madhurya bhav, then by nature we're going to align ourselves with those who also have that bhav. Those personalities who are also expressing on a very significant level their feelings towards serving Radha and Krishna. So this is a wonderful topic, in fact, in Baelvana that we can churn. And I was hoping that Srila Vaikanas Maharaj was going to be contributing to this, because he was alluding to this previously, this sort of mood of how we are relating with each other in this world and how we are learning to relate with the transcendental realm. That transcendental realm is a reality. This quote that I've just read here about the tremendous sweetness of the love that the Gopas reciprocate with Krishna, we can appreciate the immensity of the transcendental world. It's 3 times bigger than this material world for a start. But the potency of love within that world is just, we can't even imagine it. Whereas in this material world, we're all battling with our senses. We're battling to try and exploit the material objects of this world. It's like a whole war is going on, internally and externally, isn't it? Externally, we're all fighting for different properties, etc., for material acquisition. And internally, we're fighting for our self-importance within the world, our reputation within the world. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he describes this pratishta is what I'm talking about, that we all have. You don't have to be a sannyasi to have pratishta. Anyone can have pratishta. You can be the father of the family and have so much of this mood of I am supreme controller in my domain. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati describes in the forest of anarthas, this anartha of pratishta is the biggest tree in the forest. And this is what is actually obstructing our relationship with Krishna. Krishna is that supreme personality. And to the depth that we can understand that, initially, that Aishwarya, like Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he was training us. Every time you saw Prabhupada, you had to offer obeisances. I've read many examples in the different descriptions by the Prabhupada disciples. And one devotee, he offered Prabhupada obeisances before Prabhupada actually arrived. He saw him coming a little bit, then he offered obeisance. And then Prabhupada commented, oh, he didn't offer me obeisances because Prabhupada didn't see it. So he was training everyone, to honor. First, greatly honor. Because our minds have become so familiar by pollution, etc., by abuse through the ages, through many, many births of abuse and not honoring sufficiently. Actually, it's called culture and civilization. When you begin to honor and respect everyone deeply. And in the Western worlds in particular, this, practically speaking, doesn't really exist. It doesn't flow in the cities, etc. Whereas in India, certainly in the villages, certainly in Baelvana, where we are today, it does. It has a mood of respect. Everyone is respectful. It's a fact. So many times. Today we have hundreds and thousands of pilgrims every single day coming around Radhakund. And I walk daily and I can just sense there's a whole climate of self-respect, and they are respecting you and they are respecting each other. They're all families, extended families, etc. And they all have very sweet, wonderful relationships. I've often marveled at this. You've got the whole spectrum of all 4 generations sometimes in families all together, and they're all very comfortable with each other. It's like in the Western world when you've got the younger people there in one world, and the older people there in another world, and the middle-aged people there in another world. It's so much disjointed. And this all hinges around this topic that we're actually touching on a little bit, of what is this whole, this small place that we want to come through, this like the eye of the needle. And we don't want to be carrying anything. In English, we have a book called Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan, ancient, classic. And it's described one man on his journey with a huge pack on his back. And gradually he loses that pack, that self-conception of self is gradually reduced. This is the Christian conception. It's actually the same in a sense. Their final understanding of God is different because the Christian teachings, which I've studied also, doesn't describe the Lord as a familiar person. He's always in an Aishwarya mood. I mean, we're always in a mood of reverence. All religions are in a mood of reverence. It's only this Gaudiya line, it's only Mahaprabhu, really, who is really opening the door to this rag marg, this madhurya opportunity to actually connect with the Lord in the heart, to have a heart relationship. If you have a heart relationship with someone, it means that you're not really in the picture. They are in the picture, isn't it? They are the priority, not us. It's like that. But that's takes mercy to actually come to that place. So it's a journey that we're going through. And when we come to this place in Baelvana, we can consider. I'm just saying these conceptions for us to consider today. I mean, I have no realization of what I'm saying, but I'm wanting to have realization of this. I'm understanding something of this topic. And one Mahaprabhu told us to wear this locket of Trinadapi Sunichina on our next why, because that's in our best interest. If we're thinking that we're good at something or anything, it's going to obstruct our connection with Krishna. Sridham, for example, he thinks he defeated Krishna. But what I said about that analogy, that there's so much more Aishwarya in Braj. So with that packed in Aishwarya, it's sufficient to maintain the absolute respectful relationship. Even if Sridham defeats Krishna, he knows that Krishna is my best friend in the world. He knows how much Krishna loves him. The whole package is all around the area of love and affection. That's everything is in that place. It's only about that. We talk about this, and the devotees try to generate these relationships amongst themselves, but it's not so. It has to be developed on the transcendental platform. We have to be seeing beyond the material. It starts in the material. Of course, it starts in the material. You know, being generous with each other, being generous-hearted with each other. And who's the most generous-hearted? We see like Nanda Baba. When Nanda Baba was celebrating on Nandotsav, he couldn't empty his goshalas fast enough. He was giving everything. Lakshmi Devi, she came, she wanted to actually be a part of the giving, and she couldn't find any place where she could actually manifest in Braj. So she became the jewels in the gutters. All the milk was being thrown on each other and so on. So she couldn't find anywhere that she could actually give. Because Nanda Baba, he was just giving cows and millions of cows in charity to the Brahmins. And the same mood also of Jagannath Mishra, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Nimai took his birth. He also gave everything in the house. And again, the house was filled up. And he gave everything away again. And again, the house was filled up. And again, he gave it. This munificence is a part of Madhurya. I don't have anything for myself. I just want to give everything to increase the happiness and pleasure of ultimately Krishna. They love Krishna and they know how much Krishna loves them. This relationship is just something so divine. So I've spoken some ideas about this topic of Baelvana. It's a very, very sacred, wonderful, special place. And other things we can say, but I want to stop now, I think.
Maharaj, Vaikanas Maharaj has one question, which I think a lot of us have, is that if Lakshmi Devi herself doesn't have Madhurya Prem, then why are we going to Baelvana to visit her?
I asked Gurudev that exact same question.
Wonderful.
Exact same question about Uddhav. I said, you're telling us how special Uddhav is, but he can't actually come into Braj Prem. So what about me? I said to him, you're telling us all this. And then he said to me, and you can take this as you like, his exact words. I've even got a photograph of him when he's speaking to me in the middle of the temple. He's saying, you are like clay. I can mold you as I like. This is actually what he said directly to me. And I felt that tremendous affection from him when he said like that yes, if I become sufficiently Sharanagat, that my position, my intrinsic nature is going to be sufficiently blessed by Srila Gurudev. So this is how I personally experience this. But I want to finish with a little story. When we go to Baelvana, we have to cross some gullies. And I came back one time with Gurudev. We were on the other side of the Jamuna. And if you remember, maybe 25 years ago, I think, must have been about 96, 97. Sometimes on the side of Jamuna, there would be these black gutters filled with thick black sewerage, basically. And I was luckily standing next to Gurudev, and Gurudev was walking. And Gurudev put his hand on my shoulder, and we're walking. And we come to this gutter, black, thick gutter. And there's single stepping stones going across the gutter. And Gurudev is holding onto my shoulder. And as we're approaching, I'm wondering, what's Gurudev going to do now? How is he going to get across this gutter? And surely I'm not going to walk through it. And Gurudev just tightened his hand on my shoulder and just propelled me forward. So I just straight through this gutter, and Gurudev is holding on my hand, chuckling, and I was just splashing through this black gutter water. There's a photograph on the screen of it. And it's completely a sewer water is what it is. And anyway, it was great mercy of Srila Gurudev just to do that.
Walking in the water.
I had to walk in the water because there's only one step of stones. But today I could really understand this, being in an older body. My Gurudev at that time would have been about 76, 77. And you can't actually balance quite so well when you get a little bit older. So he definitely would not have been able to balance on those precarious stones. So I understand fully how he absolutely had to hold on to me, and I absolutely had to walk through the gutter. So you can see there on the picture. But this is a gutter. This is not the Jamuna. It's black gutter. It doesn't come out so black on the screen. But anyway, that's just a gift of mercy by Srila Gurudev, just to bring me down into the gutter and realize my, position as a nothing. And realizing that in connection with our Guru Varga is the highest conception and the sweetest conception, when we can feel I have nothing. Because at the time of death, my dear friends, at the time of death, we read the other day, Baelvana Saraswati's quote, "Oh brother, when you close your eyes in death, where will your family, friends, and brothers be? Where will your reputation be? Where will your power over others be? Where will your good deeds be? Where will anything of these material qualities be at the time of death? They won't be there." So if we start to put those in perspective now, like in a box, so to speak, bring them out whenever we need them, but somehow or other, at least in our quiet bhajan times, be putting them away and not trying to enlarge them in any sort of way, then I think we're going to be ultimately successful in our journey of purifying this misconception of the bodily platform. So this is just a part. Of course, all that will happen by my meditation on the supreme pastimes. Automatically, that will just drop off. When I'm meditating on Radha and Krishna's pastimes, these material misconceptions will just fade away. But when I stop that meditation, they'll just rush back again. So somehow or other, they need to be purified slowly. So in Baelvana, there are many teachings and truths to be appreciated. But this distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya, because Madhurya doesn't mean that, I can just be familiar, like young boys and girls relating with each other. That's not Madhurya. If Madhurya is not focused on our service to the Supreme Lord. All these cowherd boys, this sweetness that they're experiencing is because they're directly pleasing the Lord. They know they're pleasing the Lord by just gathering there daily to take their calves into the forest. Deep down in their hearts, they know this is satisfying and pleasing to the Lord. So I'm coming to do this, but that's not on the front burner of their consciousnesses, so to speak, but it's there. It's the depth of the Aishwarya within them. It's not familiar. You understand? It can't be just loose. These exchanges can't be just, because that's like I described one Western devotee trying to massage Gurudev's feet in public. He just didn't have the adhikar for it. He hadn't had enough births to actually be able to do something as simple as that. So I find it an interesting topic to consider, because when we're chanting, we need to purify that abhiman, that self-importance. Okay, my battery's on my other phone right now. So I'll stop then. Okay.
I have one point to add.
Maharaj,
One little point to add.
please.
Whoops. Let's turn this up. Yeah, okay. Regarding the worship of Lakshmi Devi, and you related to your experience with Gurudev and his response about Uddhav. You asked a similar kind of question. But I remember being also in Baelvana and Gurudev bringing up the point that we don't worship her to achieve her bhavs and her mood, but we worship her to get the blessings of her nishta, the steadiness and the depth of her austerities and devotion.
Beautiful.
That she's been there incalculable amount of time, right? And so many obstacles, and yet she's still there, even been told she can't do it. You can't give up your husband, you can't make cow patties, you can't take a cowherd boy, but still she's, persevering. So we're honoring her nishta.
Beautiful,
Right.
Maharaj. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And that they may not be able to give us Madhurya, but Mahavishnu, right? He blessed Gopakumar to continue on,
Right.
right? And then he got to Dwarka, and Uddhava explained something that he couldn't attain, but I know you want it, and so he gave him instruction how to go to Vrindavan ultimately. So these great souls, we sing the song to all of our acharyas in our sampradaya, and until Madhavendra Puri came, that the seeds and understanding this Radha Dasyam was there, but still we seek the blessings of all of them.
Absolutely.
Right?
Beautiful.
Yeah. And one humorous thing about that picture of you, I remember so many times when we didn't have stones also, right? And I had to just slog through it. But I noticed right behind Gurudev is Madhav Maharaj and Brajanath Prabhus, right? And generally they were always ready to be right there, with Gurudev, carry him up the stairs, do this and that, guide him through the regular streets, but they were judiciously in the background. They weren't right there. As soon they probably knew what was coming up, there's the mud. They're behind, right?
Yeah.
And you and
like that, yeah.
And you and your eagerness are right next to Gurudev, and so but it's all yoga maya. You got that great mercy. I didn't realize that's so funny that picture is of you there. Yeah. That's very sweet. Very sweet. All right.
I want to understand this topic more, Maharaj. I'm in process of trying to appreciate this topic more and more. That's why I was thinking that you would be speaking today something about this nature that we all have in wanting to be important in this world. It's the nature of the conditioned jiva. He's struggling to actually make his claim. Yudhisthira Maharaj, he says at the end of the Mahabharata, he said, all these men have died, but they've taken birth again just to make another reputation in this world. And when we read at the end of the 12th canto, it's got like 2 chapters on all the different kings and emperors of the world. One name after another, after another, after another. How much in effort did those kings and emperors make to, in their lifetimes of sometimes thousands of years? And now they're just reduced simply to some ink on a page. So what is the value of any, like reputation in any way. And yet we still, have that false ego to go in that direction. Just
Where are they? Where are those kings now? Who knows where
absolutely. They're just ink on a page.
There was one devotee, God sister, who lives in San Francisco Bay Area, a very sweet devotee. And her husband was also devoted to Srila Gurudev, both of them. He left quite early, very early on after Gurudev had gone to the West. And some years later, she was talking with Srila Gurudev and she said, I can't stop, I can't forget my husband. I'm always thinking of him. And Gurudev said, well, he's forgotten you. So, that's the way it is. And now that we've reached this age, all the people that were important in our earlier lives, they're all gone. We once had grandparents and great grandparents and elders and people we looked to and honored, and year after year they disappeared. And those elderly people who were in bodies that we thought were like aliens, when you looked at old people, you thought, what? It's a different species than when you're young. You just can't relate. And even now, when I walk around here and there, I go here and there and I see old people with walkers and crutches and canes, and I think, oh, that poor old person. And then I realize I'm the same age. It's just I don't have my cane yet, but the older you get, you're going to get it. We have to realize. So that recognition, that could help us, but you're saying this Purush Bhav, this is what, Raghunath Das says, this Pratishdasa is the most vile and dangerous anartha of all. He compares the enjoyment of Pratishta, to like bathing in donkey urine. If you're standing in the shower and you're really hot and tired, and all of a sudden this hot stream of warm water is pouring over you. And you think, now I'm relaxed. I'm getting so clean. I'm enjoying this so much. Rubbing it in your hair and your face and thinking that's nice, but it's actually hot donkey urine because we don't have the taste of humility. We don't have the taste of the joy of humility. But Gurudev has said over and over that humility is an aspect of prem, and the greater the prem, the greater the humility.
Sanatana Goswami says like this, yes. Very clear.
And the most humble of all is Srimati Radhika, saying that if I thought that there was a devotee, another Saki who could please Krishna more than me, I would immediately go to her house, I would clean her rooms, I would decorate her, I would do everything. Her man is generated by the desire. Why are you not jealous anger like we are selfish, but that if Krishna's to be happy, he has to be with me, because I'm the only one that can please him in the way that he wants. So why are you with this other one? Not like us. Do you know who I am? Do you know what my position is? What is your position? No, not like that. And so sannyas, you were mentioning sannyas, Gurudev over and over, he tried to convey to us that sannyas is where you embrace the idea of service to the extreme. When we were young devotees and our young compatriots were taking sannyas, it was equated with more status, more enjoyment. You'd get the Maha plate, you get nicer clothes, you get honor everywhere you went. And people aspired for sannyas for that reason, right? Many did, not all perhaps, but some. And in fact, one person gave up sannyas to get married and in New York, and they spun it in this way. They said, he's so renounced, he renounced the renounced order. In other words, he was getting so much facility as a sannyasi, so much respect and honor and everything else, but he gave that all up to take household life because his new wife was going to be really rich and give money. So for the greater movement, he accepted this lower position, right? Completely skewed ideas. But humility and service is what we aspire for. When Mahaprabhu came back from Gaya, the thing that everybody detected in him was complete change in his mood. He used to be this strutting, arrogant, scholar. He would taunt everybody, tease them, and pull them into debate. It gave them pain. The regular Brahmins would run in fear. Oh, we don't want to be humiliated. The devotees, they would run away. Mukunda would see him coming and take a side street because in Gadadhar Pandit, they didn't want to be engaged in this philosophical wrangling. And Mahaprabhu would say, Acha, I know why you're running. You think I'm not a devotee. You don't want to discuss all this logic and argument. And then he would play his arrogant role again, which is an aspect of
And
the
you
hero.
defeat them again.
Yeah. And then he would say, one day I will also be a devotee, don't worry. But then he would say, but I will be the greatest devotee. Even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma will honor me. Right? And they'd go, Vishnu, Vishnu. But it's true. And when he became a devotee or manifested it, he also manifested extraordinary humility. He began to carry people's laundry, wash their clothes, do errands for them, weep and touch their feet, right? And then when it came time to show his Bhagavata, his godhood, Yuga avatar identity, he would go into trance to do that and then speak in so many ways of the Aishwarya of Bhagavan to convince them, now I've come to deliver this Yuga Dharma to protect you. And then he would come back to his mood of, as the devotee, and he'd say, what have I said? Did I say anything wrong? And then he would clasp their feet and beg, their mercy, and they would not know how to adjust these two extraordinary different moods. On the one hand, he's Bhagavan, and now in the mood of the devotee, he's the most humble. But without that, without cultivating humility, what does he say? His very early instruction, that Turnadapi Sunichena, Torodapi Sahishnana, Amanina, Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. Unless you're willing to divest yourself of all desire for respect for yourself, as a wealthy devotee, I'm supporting everyone. As a sannyasi, I'm the greatest scholar, the most renounced, whatever stupid thing we hang on to. And really, genuinely offer respect to others, and not just devotees. Even one anartha is jiva aparad. Aparad can be to the devotees, but even to the other jivas, because realization will dictate to you that they're all from Krishna. They're all lost brothers and sisters. In the Madhyam plane, we may discriminate on how to deal with them differently, but we should never disrespect them. Very high bar, this humility, this offering everything from ourselves. Take my bark, take my limbs, take my leaves, take my fruit. Go under me for shade and shelter. Don't water me, I won't complain. Gurudev would want us to be like that. As devotees, as sannyasis, serve out the prasad, serve the devotees. Remember parikram? When you'd have to, Gurudev, he made us servants of the parikram. You had the job of numbering all the buses. You had to be up earlier than anybody. Get out there and, the buses and making the list, who's going on what bus, making sure everybody's taken care of, holding this bus up until that poor old lady gets on it, and then driving on the bus. And when we get there, jump to the front of the line, do the parikram, do the kirtan, then be ready to talk at every place all day long, and then coming back, jumping on the stage and be ready to speak and be humble. And don't yell at anybody, right? Be kind, be nice, be a servant. But if you could do that at the end of the parikram, when you're completely exhausted, and Gurudev would take every drop of service and nishta from us. He'd wring everything out of us for that month. And at the end, you would feel like Arjuna's chariot at the end of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Krishna told him, now get off the chariot. What? The battle's over. No, get off immediately. Gets off the chariot, bursts into flames and turns into ash. What happened? Oh, during that whole battle, you were the target of every kshatriya, every astra. Your chariot should have been destroyed very early on. But because I was on it with you, I protected it, and I protected you. And now that the battle is over, get off that chariot. That chariot, like the body, you know, it's done its purpose and it turned to ash. And sometimes I felt like my body was at the end of ash. It took weeks to recover from that. But the blessings of that kind of nishta. Do you remember having even a second or a moment? And that nishta was all service. So Lakshmi, she wants to serve in that way. She's not qualified, but she's not giving up. And that's the lesson, you know, and she's humble. She's humble. She's not expecting anything from anyone. Her austerities are very severe. She's given up the association and service to her husband, Narayan, to be there, which, as you said, is her adhikar and her mood, right? But to do that, that's what we honor. That's what we honor, this asha bandha, bound by hope, that Rupa Goswami talks about, right? And that's certainly our position. I mean, geez, how far, the more we know, the more we know we don't know, and the more we know how far we are from all this. And this Baelvana pastime, such a sweet place. The gentle breezes of that place was always cool and comfortable and wonderful there.
Very quiet.
Yeah, the birds, it was actually birds in the trees everywhere, you know, and like you say, village children running around, kids coming up with peacock feathers, you know, to sell you, and you know, hey, Baba, you know. And yeah, just a wonderful, wonderful environment, so favorable for hearing kata and trying to take on these moods, right? Yeah. So
But completely warm. The mood of the residents, you know, like all the villages, very warm and respectful. You know,
right.
that mood is what I was mentioning also. That in a civilized place, you know, this is culture. So we have
Yeah.
to make that transition
Right.
as much as
Culture.
we're able to do.
Right.
I think Shudrareti Maharaj is going to add.
He's chomping. Look at him ready to go.
Yeah, he's chomping.
Okay, I'll go on.
Children,
Maharaj, that was wonderful. That was very wonderful. Lakshmi has the nishta. I
Yeah.
got that. Yeah, fully. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Okay.
Children, Marge, we can hear double when you're speaking. Are you both in the same room?
Well, we should have waited, Maharaj. Yeah.
Yeah, because we can hear both of your.
I'll mute. I'll mute now. I'm
Okay.
muting.
But I don't know if it's the muting or it's the voice from the.
No, it's actually, I put the sound on my phone at the same time it is. That's why it made this echo.
Yes, maybe that's probably what it is, Marge. Also, let me before Sadhuiti Maharaj starts, I just want to say again, thank you to Chidandi Maharaj and Vekanas Maharaj. This is actually a place is of actual importance for a sadhak, because when I used to go on when I do go on Bharatgram and they take us to Belvan, they specifically, you know, take us to this to Lakshmi Devi, and her position there is not giving anything. She's in actual prayer. So her murti or that the actual deity of Lakshmi Devi there is not in the mood of giving. She's in the mood of prayer. And that was something that I remember being highlighted when I went on Bharatgram or go on Bharatgram, is that her mood of prayer is being really highlighted in this place. And I remember Uma Didi saying to me that why, because I asked the same question to her. I said, what's the point? I said, if we're not going to get Brahma Bhakti, what's the point of going? But she said that one was what Vekanas Maharaj said about her nishta, and the other was that to remind us as sadhaks what our goal is, where we want to actually go, and how we need to do our sadhan in continuous prayers. So that's what I remember Srimati Uma Didi telling me. So just wanted to add that 2 pence in so I remember it. But thank you to Vekanas Maharaj and Chaitanya Maharaj speaking beautifully as always. And we are going to listen from Sadhvaita Maharaj. Hari Hari Bol.
Vanchakalpatarvasya kripa sindhubhyayivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripam tamamandi Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Harindra Badanam Harim. I remember Vekanas Maharaj telling me that by his taking sannyas, Gurudev extracted from him unlimited and more service that he would have ever done if he had not taken sannyas. I remember that talk we had, long ago. So we can conceive that we are unlimitedly indebted towards Srila Gurudev. Now, if you remember, Srila Prabhupada, his whole mission was to establish that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Gurudev told us, your Guru taught you that. And my mission is to make you forget that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because as long as you have this mood of Aishvarya, you cannot enter into the mood of Braj. No. He said, that is my mission. His mission was to make you accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord. My mission is to make you forget. Therefore, I'm taking you to Bandiravan, where there is Jnana Kup, the well of knowledge, where you have to put inside all this knowledge that Krishna is God and forget, and only consider him that he is a Lala of Yashoda and Nanda, is a friend of the Gopas and the lover of the Gopis. I remember one time Srila Gurudev came in my house when I was a householder in France. And then there was a river nearby, so we went for a morning walk. And because I was in charge of everything, I came a little late. And when I came, Gurudev just addressed me. He said, what is your relationship with Vrishabhanu Maharaj? Just took me like by surprise. I said, you tell me. He said, he's your father. I was thinking, my father with that. And then what is the relationship with Kirtila Sundari? She's your mother. And I was trying to digest. I just was flabbergasted. And he said, you should see everything from the standpoint of Shrimati Radhika. Everything in Braj, you should see it from her standpoint, as her maid servant. And he started to explain all the manjaris. They're completely tadatmic, one in heart with Radhika. They don't have any conception of themselves. So right there, I was also, it was going way above my head. I was thinking, what is that? I'm not ready for that kind of thing. But Gurudev was instilling that idea that Sripati Rani Maharaj so nicely, explained, that difference between Aishvarya and Madhurya. And of course, there must be, even by logic, a place where the Lord forgets that he is the Lord, so he can enjoy what Gurudev would call lokik sat bandhuvat, or formality-free relationships. Imagine that Mother Yashoda, she's giving her breast milk to Krishna, and suddenly she sings, this is God. All her maternal love would evaporate immediately. So there must be a place where this is absent. Or imagine the gopis dancing with Krishna and suddenly thinking, we're dancing with the Supreme Lord. If my foot touch his foot, oh, this is a big offense. That would freeze the whole mood of the rasa dance. Because they believe Krishna is their lover. Now we spoke yesterday how they felt that he's only dancing with me. I'm the most fortunate girl in the universe. No, that must be because there is no there's no Aishvarya. Although Gurudev gives the example, if you put in 50 liters of milk, one piece of straw, and the milk is boiling, now and then you'll see the straw coming to the surface, but mostly it will be invisible. Like Chirandi Maharaj said, in Braj there's much more opulence, Aishvarya, but it is completely covered by Madhurya, therefore it is not felt. No gopis, Krishna says in the Bhagavatam, I remember having read so many times the first volume of Chaitanya Charitamrita. I must have read it 20 or 30 times before I came to Gurudev. And I never clicked on the chapter 4, what Krishna is saying, until Gurudev put like a magnifying glass on it, where he says the whole world is worshipping me according to Vedic Bhakti. Now, but this mood is weakened. This love is weakened by the knowledge of my Bhagavata, my Godhood. Aishwarya Prema Shitila, Srila Gogona also will discourse on it. Prema Sankuchita. Because if there is knowledge, as long as there is knowledge of the Godhood of Krishna, then we cannot develop intimacy, Braj mood with him. And Krishna says, the whole world worships me like that, but that prem cannot control me because it is weakened by this sense of my Godhood. But one of my sweethearts, is entering a prem kalaha, a loving quarrel with me, and chastises me. Oh, this steals away my mind from the pompous hymns of the Vedas, Krishna says. So until, I read that so many times, but until Gurudev came and explained it, I was completely unable to enter into that. And that verse he made us all memorize. Prem ras niryas korite ashvadan, ragamargaloke korite pracharan. Mahaprabhu came for two reasons. He wanted himself to release all the subtleties of prem ras niryas, but also because he's not a selfish person, he's parama karun, supremely merciful. He also wanted to distribute to us that prem. So Mahaprabhu is releasing. That's why in some temples you see Mahaprabhu with one hand up is receiving and one hand down is distributing. So you can say, why is not this with the hand up? No, because it would take too much time to take from that hand and distribute it. So one hand receiving and continuously giving. No, he's releasing and he's sharing. He's not a selfish person. He's Rasik Shekhar, he's the most connoisseur of rasa, the most gourmet connoisseur of all the subtleties of ras, but he's Parama Karun. For those two reasons, he appeared in this world. Man one was for himself, and for us, it's considered secondary, but for us, we don't care if it's secondary because this is what we get. He wanted to give the path of Ragamar. And Janji Maharaj said, we cannot artificially do that, enter in that. No, we have to develop the qualification. Srila Maharaj will say, Pujala Ragapata. From below, we are worshipping the path of Ragamar, of Raganuga Bhakti, offering the greatest respect to it. Right? Now, another topic which would come also in Baelvana would be the topic of Mahaprabhu staying for the rainy season in the house of Venkatabhata in south of India. And Mahaprabhu was, in a very sweet way, one day telling Venkatabhata, oh, you are worshipping Lakshmi Narayan. Oh, this is so good. But I have one question. Mahaprabhu didn't start to heavily preach to him.
The end of 4 months.
No, this is after 4 months of being with them, giving them mercy and everything. Gopal Bhatta's child, of Venkat Bhatta became one of his ardent followers as Gopal Bhatta Goswami, one of our 6 worshipable Goswamis of Vrindavan. So towards the end, he said, I have one question. You worship Lakshmi Narayan very well, but I've heard in the Bhagavatam that you, Lakshmi, she's aspiring to be in Krishna's association. So how is that? And then he quoted that verse from the 47th chapter of 10th canto, that when Krishna was dancing with the gopis, he showed them a favor that even Lakshmi never received. He puts his hands around their neck. Gurudev would say like 2 beautiful blackish snakes around their neck and begging them, please don't leave me. Please, like hanging like a child around his mother's neck like that. So he told them that Lakshmi never received such a position. And another verse, I think verse 63, same chapter, where he says, oh, Brahma, all the great demigods, Shiva, Lakshmi herself, they can only worship Krishna in their mind. But the gopis, directly they put his lotus feet and put them on their breasts. So when he told that, Venkatabhata was a little astonished. He had never heard such a thing because in the Sri Sampradaya, they worship in great Aishwarya. It is the Sampradaya of Aishwarya because their goal is Lakshmi Narayan. The goal is Vaikuntha, to go to the spiritual world and serve Lakshmi Narayan only in one rasa, dasya. Everyone there is a servant except Lakshmi. We know that when Gopakumar went there, they've told us so many times, he could not be satisfied because his mood is a Braja mood. So in the evening, he wants, just like in Vrindavan, to go with Krishna in his bedroom and jump on the bed of Krishna and play with him and tease and everything. But in the evening, the servants of Lakshmi Narayan would start to, well, you must be tired. Maybe now you can retire in your apartments. And it's becoming very disturbed. And in the morning, very early, he comes and Gopal, come on, let's go. The cows are waiting. And everyone says, shh, don't speak to him like that. Don't you know he's the supreme giver of all blessings? Why do you call him Gopal? Do you think that he's a lover of some milkmaid? No. And so, oh yes, you refer to one time, oh Lord took the form of Krishna, but that is not his identity. No. And Gopakumar is in one corner of Vaikuntha feeling so depressed, and Narada Muni comes and takes his spiritual pulse, quote unquote, and says, oh, this is very strange. You're in Vaikuntha, the place of no kunta, no anxiety, but I see you feel of anxiety. I can understand. You're carried by your Braj. That's why, even though you're in a spiritual world, you're not satisfied. And he told him, there's no way between Vaikuntha and Goloka. You have to go back on earth. He must be one of the only person who came back from Vaikuntha, not falling, but on the order of Narada. You have to go back on earth and do bhajan, and from there you can go to Goloka. So Gurudev revealed to us all those amazing things that we had never heard before, not even conceived. So Venkatabat, when he heard this, he was very astonished. And then he inquired more from Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu gradually told him about the superiority of Radha and Krishna over Lakshmi Narayan. Although they're not different in one sense, according to our philosophy, they're one and different simultaneously, inconceivably. For instance, Lakshmi Narayan in the Puranas, they're called the father and mother of the universe. But Gurudev said, no, never think Radharani is a mother. Never think of her like a mother. She's your Swamini. You should have as a goal that she becomes your mistress and you become her Palyadasi. Gurudev introduced in our vocabulary words that we never heard before, like Palyadasi. Until I found one bhajan of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where he mentioned that word, I was thinking, is this an Hindi word Gurudev is using to make us give us a hint of something? And actually, Palyadasi Bhav. Who had heard that before Srila Gurudev came to the West? Or we came to hear from him in this world, in this Vrindavan. So much indebtedness. So Lakshmi, she's doing those austerities to enter the rasa dance, and Mahaprabhu revealed that to Venkatabhata and his brother, who became later on Prabodhananda Sarasvati. And as we said, Gopal Bhatta became Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So they were converted. So, nowadays there's such a huge confusion about the idea of Sarup. From the Babaji lines, we hear that actually Jiva is like a blank sheet. He has no Sarup, and by association he gets Sarup. So Maharaj was hinting to that by association, by samskars. But Gurudev explained, this association and samskars, they only act as catalyzer to awaken something which is there already. Not that by association you get a Svarup. But nowadays, this is a philosophy of Vad going on, that if you associate with a guru in Sakya Bhav, then he will give you a Sakya Bhav rasa. You don't have a rasa. You don't have any Svarup. He will give you. And some even say, and he cannot give you something else. If he's in Sakya Bhav, you can only be a Saka. And if he's a Madhurya Ras, you can only be a Saki. You cannot be something else. Now, Gurudev told us, if you remember, if you have come to this line of Mahaprabhu, of Bhaktivinoda Dhara, of Saraswati Thakur, then 95% chance is that you're in Madhurya Ras, and 5% maybe Sakya something. But he said 95 to 98. Sometimes I heard him say 95 to 98. And if you remember, every time he gave Diksha, when he gave the Gopal mantra, there is Sri Krishna there. And Gurudev always would say, Krishnaya, Gopi Jana Vallabhaya, giving a hint, because Diksha, this is what it means. At the time of Diksha, within the Gopal mantra, as a seed, This is the definition given in Bhakti-samdharma by Jiva Goswami. Krishna puts within the mantra, in a seed form, Bhagavat Svarupa Gyan, the knowledge of Krishna's original form, the Krishna of Vrindavan, Nanda Kumar Krishna, not Mathura Dat or Dwarkadish, and Bhagavat Sambandha Vishesha Gyanam Cha, the specific knowledge of your relationship with that Krishna, as a seed. And Gurudev would say, remember every festival, he would say, don't neglect your mantras. And he would pronounce like mantras. Don't neglect your mantras, they're not different from Krishna. By watering every day the seed I have given you, that relationship with Krishna becomes thicker and thicker. Because at the time of Diksha, Guru gives, we say gives, he gives a hint of what is your eternal relationship with Krishna. Like Gurudev was saying, Gopi Jana Vallabha, not Krishna, not Govindaya, Gopi Jana Vallabha. Krishna means Dasharas, Sakyaras, and Govindaya, Sakya, and Vatsalya. But Gopi Jana Vallabha, that's no, Madhuryada. So Gurudev was giving, and every time I translated or I heard him, sometime in Uzbekistan, we would call Gurudev, and he would give Diksha by phone. One time he said, oh, you give the mantra, I cannot give it today. No. And he was always, I remember insisting, Krishna, Gopi Jana Vallabhaya, giving a hint to that devotee receiving. And of course, it's like, because we say Guru gives Sambandha Gyan. Now you hear that and you say, okay, so it means I'm in that relationship. No, I cannot imagine myself, no, because then that would be even an offense to consider yourself one of the eternal associates when you have not realized it. But he said, this is, no, okay, a hint of your eternal identity is Sambandha. And gradually, as you cross over the anarthas, Sridhar Maharaj says, crossing so many mountains and oceans and universes, when finally you come to qualification, then it will be revealed to you. Gurudev would tell us, on the higher levels of asakti, you start to have spurtis, a flash of your eternal identity. And at that time, your bhajan siksha guru will confirm. You will say, oh, Gurudev, I saw myself, I cannot really say, but I saw some form and then some color, and you will say, yes. And as you go deeper, come into bhav, really, Gurudev says, even at bhav, it's like seeing like a mannequin in a shop behind a window, but there's no door to the shop, you cannot enter in it. Only really when you graduate from bhav and then you get Swarup Siddhi, really at that time you can enter, so to speak, into the shop and fully identify with the mannequin which is your Swarup. So Gurudev, that is revealed on those higher levels. Now, what we hear as Ekadas Bhav, the 11 eternal characteristic of the soul. Your eternal body has an age which never changes, usually 12, 13 years old. I remember one time Bhagavat Maharaj saying, this is a very strange path. We're a group of old men trying to become little girls. That was a very funny statement. He was laughing his head off, and I remember that was pretty amazing. Yes, if people knew what we're doing, they'd say, those guys are a little kinky or something, right? It's very strange. Old men trying to become little girls. But nowadays, what is a woman, like they say in America, anyone who identifies as a woman. So if I want to identify as a Saki, why not? What is a Saki? Or anyone who identifies as a Saki. So the Sahajas, they say that Guru gives Swarup. And our Guru said, no, you get a revelation or confirmation of your Swarup by your Guru when you're ready. No. I remember one time speaking with some sannyasis of the Bharatiyata Maharaj disciples in France, Bhakti Kinka Damodar Maharaj, I remember. And then we were discussing, as sannyasis we were sharing the talk. And when I spoke on that, he said, oh, you are so fortunate in your line because of Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, who clearly defined the whole topic. In our line, or Gurudev, we never speak about it. We don't have a clear conception of Swarup. This was never a topic clarified. But because Gurudev, if you remember in the biography, and he gave us so many times the example, you can plant so many different seeds on the bank of the Ganga. Tamarind, mango, banana. and they'll get the same water, the same sun, the same rain, the same soil, but tamarind tree will never give tamarind seed will only give a tamarind tree, not a mango tree or banana tree. And each seed will give whatever it is. And he said, expert gardener looking at the seeds, okay, this is the seed of that tree. So guru, when he's looking, qualified guru, looking at the disciple, he knows exactly this is the swarup of that person. So he will guide accordingly. Of course, this is specifically on the higher levels. On a general level, we taught Sambandha, then gradually, as we go practice our Abhideya and come closer to the Prayojan, then we are given more and more, mercy is given, installment, newer and newer, higher installments of mercy. But the whole idea is that when we go to Baelvana, I remember asking also that question to Gurudev, and he answered, she cannot give because she doesn't have, but she can give blessings. He said like that. Because I was also wondering, the same question everyone asked. Yeah, why we go there? If she cannot get it, and she cannot give it. You cannot give what you don't have, right? But why can she give? She still can give blessing, just like we speak. We want to hear from devotees, but we speak so many things we have not realized. But still devotees want to hear because they feel blessed by that knowledge. Oh, I didn't understand that. I didn't know that. So even though the person may not have realized everything, because you don't have always self-realized devotees to hear from, they're very rare. I remember Gurudev said, even Madhyam, which is Ruchi stage, so rare, but still you need Guru, don't reject such a person. No, Gurudev was like, sometimes I like to say Gurudev was like the last of the Mohicans, the last of the, ultimately, Mahabhagavats present in this world. Of course they are. I mean, I had the good fortune, I think, to see about 10 in my lifetime. All the great stalwarts, which all of them are gone. But of course, when we hear from them, the impact is different. That's why we say, Svajatiya Snigdha. We want to hear. Rupa Goswami said we should hear from devotees in our line, having the same aspiration and the same goal. Snigdha has two meanings. Snigdha means they are affectionate towards us, means they have a personal interest. They're personally concerned with our spiritual advancement. And Snigdha, Bhakti Prapantirtha Maharaj this morning was explaining, Snigdha also means somebody who has sneha or prem. When he has, we want to hear from them, because what they have is not gyan, but vigyan. And there's a world of difference. No, I'm saying all kinds of things I heard. How much realization do I have? I'll tell you very meager. No, but still, this is our duty to share. No, Srila Gurudev has this immense faith in that verse of the Bhagavatam, Vikritam Rajavadubir Idam Chavishnu. Now, when Shukadev Goswami had finished to speak, 4 of the 5 Gits, not yet Brahmar Git, he felt so much ecstatic. And then when one is happy, naturally he wants to share. That's an anubhav of happiness. You want to share with others. So he wanted to give a blessing. And what blessing he gave? Oh, anyone who from the beginning hears from his guru about the sweet dealings of Krishna with the newly wedded wives of Vrindavan, Vrajavaduts, Idam Chavishnu, with faith. What will he get? He will get pure bhakti, the highest kind of bhakti, and then naturally the Hridroga Kama, the hard disease of lust affecting every jiva in this world, will be dissipated. And in one article, Gurudev was saying that which phase, when we say Shraddhayanvita, he says the phase that if I hear, I will get that benefit. That faith, strong faith. And he said you should have that faith, and usually that faith comes at Nishta. Because if we take the definition of faith, Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Koi Sudrida Nishchoy, that unbreakable conviction, if I serve Krishna, all my duties are fulfilled. And by extension, all my desires are fulfilled. But we say Ado Shraddha, and certainly this cannot be the faith of the beginning. How can you have unbreakable faith when you come to the path? So actually that faith refers to Paramartik Shraddha at the level of Nishta. So Gurudev was hinting, we may hear, but that strong faith will come when we come to the Nishta level. No, Nishta is where everything actually starts to really happen. Before that, we're too much covered by leftovers, rajas, and tamas. Therefore, our natural humility doesn't come out, and everything we hear still remains gyan. When you come to Nishta, there is this verse, Nishta, Oile Taranga Upaja, Prema, what is it? Nishtara Taranga, Oile Prema Upajoy. When you come to the Nishta level, little waves of prem, they start to lick your heart and purify your heart. No, just like a rock in the sea, and you can see little waves that and there's some foam there. So at the time of Nishta, you get the second doses of Mahaprabhu's mercy. Srila Gogaraj used to say, if you have accepted a bona fide spiritual master, you can consider you have received the first dose of Mahaprabhu's mercy. Mercy comes by doses. We cannot take the whole. We have no capacity to receive everything. And when you come to Nishta, second doses. And when you come to Bhav, Purna Kripa Shakti, full mercy is received at that time. So when you come to Nishta, Mahaprabhu gives a second doses, and everything you heard starts to become realized. It comes from Gyan to Vigyan. All the prayers, all the astakams you sang, everything you heard, all the studies you made, all the notes you took, as okay, I want to remember this, but it was on the level of knowledge acquisition, Gyan. Now, at that time, everything becomes Vigyan. You realize everything. And naturally, humility, fortunately, comes along with that realization. Otherwise, you become proud with your knowledge. No, that's why we see people who have not achieved that level, they have knowledge, and many times they become proud. We've seen unfortunate incidents of people being taken down by their pride because they had so much knowledge, but not the humility which was supposed to go along with it. Because we've been acquainted by Gurudev's grace with an ocean of knowledge. Even Lord Brahma says, I have been acquainted by the Lord with an ocean of knowledge. I can't even reach the shore of that ocean. So, Srila Govinda used to say, what to speak of diving deep and deeper and deeper to get the jewels at the bottom of the ocean. If you remain on the surface, he would say you only collect fish. That's why we're told to dive, like Srila Maharaj said, dive deep into reality, then you can really get the things. And usually knowledge has a tendency to make us a little proud. Kunti Devi is saying, Janma Ishvara Shruta Shribir. Shruta, knowledge, if we get it, but we don't have the humility, then we have tendency to be proud. Janma, if you have an aristocratic birth, if you have Aishwarya, if you have wealth, if you have knowledge, education, if you have beauty, this is very hard to approach the Lord. Kim Akinchana Gochara is approached by those who have nothing, or who may have but have no sense of possessiveness. Now, Akinchan doesn't mean you're a beggar. Usually, Vaishnavas take that position. We have even the official title, Tridandi Bhikshu. I have the title of being a beggar with a Tridanda. And that Tridanda has a little crescent moon. It looks like, oh, nice little moon. Actually, this is not a moon, this is an axe, parashu. This axe is supposed to cut the attachment of the speaker and of the audience. That's what the sannyas danda means. You're supposed to have your danda and cutting your own attachment when you speak, because when you speak, you have to hear what you're saying. And then the audience also gets help through that knowledge. It is supposed to cut their attachment. Sadhu means to cut, right? Saraswati Thakur used to say the material desires of man are like goats, and the sadhu stand with a sacrificial knife in the form of unpleasant language. And his Gurudev, like Gokshara Babaji Maharaj would say, if you want to give up the ghost of Maya, you have to accept the harsh words of the sadhu. This is the only way to get free. Sadhu means to cut. In the Bhagavatam we hear, because we have excessive attachment, if we associate with sadhus, then Udvega, they cut that excessive attachment by the powerful incantations. So, I'm going overboard. I was just
Thank you so much, Maharaj. That was actually really beautiful for us to understand as devotees what to do and not to do, and actually how important it is for us to conceptualize these teachings of Srila Gurudev and our Guru Varg, not just Srila Gurudev, but a whole entire Guru Varg, and what we've been given is so precious, so precious, Maharaj, and you really highlighted that. So thank you so much. I think Trinani Maharaj, you want to say something?
Just very wonderful katha from Shuddhadwaiti Maharaj. My jaw is on the ground. I'm in ecstasy listening. I want to hear more and more and more, but I think our time has concluded. But this Baelvana, I was thinking yesterday, Tarun and yourself, Yashodhari, were saying it was a very short place. But when you were saying that all the time, I was thinking, well, actually, it's not. It's the beginning of something vast. So we've had it beautifully defined by Sripad Bhaktivedanta Shuddhadwaiti Maharaj, very, very nicely indeed. I'm indebted. That's all I can say. I'm fully indebted.
I
Thank
think we all are, to all of you that are speaking, because it's so important for us to feel connected to these places and take the dust, and through our ears we're being connected, and that's going into our hearts, where is the place where it needs to remain. So this is so important for all of us, and I'm speaking on behalf of all of the listeners that we're grateful for all of the speakers that are coming to speak on this program. It means a lot to us to actually help us in our sadhana. So thank you for that. Also tomorrow, we have another speaker joining us tomorrow. We have Sripad Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj also joining us tomorrow, which is super exciting. Tomorrow we will be going to Nidhuvan, Radha Raman, Radha Gokulanand, and Radha Gopinath, which is all in Vrindavan. So Tridandi Maharaj, Mekanas Maharaj, Sutadvait Maharaj, and Nemi Maharaj. So we're very, very fortunate. Will be taking us to those places tomorrow. And so the time is the same tomorrow. So please come and join. Like I said, like I say every day, is please share this with devotees that may not have access to come to the dham, and will relish this Harikatha. You can go back and rewatch any of these on the Bhakti Zoom YouTube page, or Tridandi Maharaj's YouTube page, either one, doesn't matter, where you can hear all of this divine nectar. So as of today, we're going to close program without any kirtan. So tomorrow we'll see you at the same time, and yeah, Hari Hari Bol Dandavat Pranams. Vanchakalpadrubhisha kripa sindhu bhaivicha patatanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namo.
You didn't get a